Hi, my name is Lori with Crazy Mountain Vet. Today I'm going to show you how we run our in-house fecal flotations. So you'll have a sample. Today I'm doing a sample of a goat. Typically horses and cows are what we're doing the most of, but we want to start by getting our sugar med. We have these set up in both of our clinics with a pre-measured drench set to 15 mils. So we're going to go ahead and get 15 cc's of sugar med into our Dixie cup here. Always be sure to tip your gun back up so that it fills all the way up with sugar med, not just bubbles. Put that away. And then we'll go ahead and get some of our fecal material here. You typically want to get the size of your thumbnail. The key is consistency. So if you're doing a lot, you want to make sure, like a lot as in 10 fecals at one time, you want to make sure that you're getting the same size of fecal sample in your cup every time. For this goat, I'm going to do 2 little pellets here. So go ahead and drop that in our sugar med. We're going to take a tongue depressor and kind of smash this up and mix it until it's well incorporated. We want to get it as smooth as we can and spread the fecal material out. Okay, that looks pretty good. So then the next step is straining it. I like to have my strainer set up before we start. So I take a couple Dixie cups here and I put it down and then have my cup I'm going to strain into set up. Not sure if you can see it very well, but it's pre-set up so I don't have to hold it. I go ahead and pour my solution in, scrape it down, get all the stuff out of there. Okay, then the next step, I'm going to grab my cup and my strainer in one hand here, and then I'm going to use my tongue depressor to kind of mill it around and push all of the solution down. You can't see it very well, but I know that I'm done when I'm able to get all of the fecal material that's remaining in the strainer kind of pushed into this tiny little ball here. That's when I know that I've gotten all the sugar med solution out that I'm going to get. So then I'm going to take this strained solution and I'm going to pour it into one of these tubes. When we run anything really in the centrifuge, it needs to be balanced. So since I'm just doing a fecal on one goat today, I went ahead and already did another one. I might as well run it twice. I have enough feces to do that. So we go ahead and put it in the centrifuge so that it's balanced opposite of each other. Here, the centrifuge in White Silver Springs, we have it set to the fecal spot here on the power, and then we will close this and we'll go ahead and centrifuge it for 15 minutes. In Harlowton, the settings are on a sticker as well on the centrifuge. You just go ahead and set that and we'll see you back when it's done. All right, our centrifuge is done, so we're gonna jump into that. If you are running 8 or 10 fecals from the same place, you can set up a little wash station for your equipment. You have one with soapy water that you'll dunk in first, and that one will get more dirty, and then you have a second one that you'll dunk in that's cleaner, and then that's sufficient enough to go ahead and run another fecal through if it's from the same place. And then when your fecal is done in their centrifuge, we'll go ahead and pull them out and put them in our holder here. And then what we need to do is fill them to the top with sugar med. And we want to do this with getting the least amount of bubbles that we can. The way we do this, or I do this, is I get a 6 cc syringe. I put a 14 gauge catheter on that. And then I go ahead and I fill up another Dixie cup with some sugar med. Right. I go ahead and I fill my syringe. As full as I can get it here. Okay. So then I want to tilt it down so any bubbles are at the top, or take the time to squirt them out the top. But I go ahead and I put my syringe needle in here. I do not want to stick the needle all the way down into the poop. I just kind of put it up against the side here, and I slowly put the sugar med in. That reduces the bubbles. If you were to just to squirt it in the top, you're going to get a lot of bubbles in there. So we're going to try to fill this up. I'll go back here so I don't make a mess. We're trying to fill this up until we have a slight meniscus. It doesn't have to be huge, just has to be enough that when we put the cover slip on top of the tube, it comes in contact with all the material in here. All right, let's go ahead and fill it up again for the next one. Since I'm running two. All right, now we go ahead and we put our cover slips on. And then we leave our cover slips sitting on the tubes for 2 to 4 minutes. I like to set a timer on my phone so I don't forget. And if you ever have any questions, we have these hanging in both clinics above our fecal stations on how much sugar med, how long to run the centrifuge, how long to leave the cover slip on. So we'll set a timer, we'll come back, and then I'll go ahead and look at these. I also keep close in here a picture of all the different worms eggs that we're looking for. When we're looking for them, I'm not going to show that in this video, but when we're looking at them on the microscope, so we'll back up. We'll take the cover slips off after 4 minutes. We'll put it on a microscope slide. We'll put it in here. We'll look at it on 10 power and 40 power to zoom in if we need to. And it's best to go up and down and then as a cross instead of side to side and down. You get more queasy motion sickness that way. All right, we are back to talk about the form. Once we have ran our fecals, if we find anything, this is the way we're going to fill it out. So we go ahead and put the collection date, the name of the producer, the farm. We don't really care that much about the city, state, because we have all that stuff in file already. I want to make sure that I have my name on here as a person who's preparing it. And I also want to have the vet or the person who's reading the fecal at the end on here. It's also important to make sure we put what group of production animals these are. Like if we're doing replacement heifers, bulls, cows, whatever it is, I want to make sure we have that on here. I know we won't have their tag number specifically, but we want to know what production class we've got. So you go ahead and put sample number 1. If you have an animal ID, that's great. What we do is if we see a worm, we go ahead and put a plus in the column for that worm. So let's say I saw say I found a hookworm in there. I go ahead and put a plus on, and I keep a count of the total eggs found with one of these little counters. So I'm keeping this in one hand while I'm reading the fecal, and I'm counting how many eggs I found. A plus means that is the type of egg present. If you put a second plus, it's not very scientific. It just means that you're seeing more of that kind. So if we're seeing 2 different kinds of eggs, I have a plus under hookworm, I have a plus under whipworm. But if I have 2 pluses under nodular worm, that means that I had a lot more nodular worms than the others. We don't have to keep a specific egg count for each individual type. We just put the total egg count here on the back side, and there's a little formula at the bottom for how to calculate eggs per pound of manure. We got this formula and this method of record keeping from Dr. Don Bliss with Mid-America Ag Research, so we think it's pretty good. Once you have filled out the form, you want to make sure that you put it on the drive with the appropriate format. So the year, then the month, period, date. So today is 2024 7.3, and that's how I'd put it on the drive. And I would make sure that this gets reported to the producer by a vet or somebody qualified. So that's how we run our in-house fecals. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask whoever is training you. Thanks.